Hello, welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of The Tutor, by Lacey Rice.
I stood alongside Courtney in the student waiting room. Jessica next to us was looking noticeably nervous, her worry apparent. All three of us are still wearing our jumper uniforms. I wish that we had a little bit of time to change out of them, but the van came to pick us up right after the final bell rang. Zoe, still in her plaid gray skirt and white blouse, stood next to us as she held Samantha. In her arms Samantha still wore her blue kindergarten dress uniform. All of us girls from St. Mary's School for Girls occupied a cluster, observing as students from various schools started filing into the small room. Boys from St. John's School for Boys stayed on the other side of the room. They were all wearing khaki pants, light blue polo shirts. To be honest, I was a bit jealous seeing them. The older boys were looking at Zoe and I wondered what they would say if they knew Zoe's tutor was Stephen. There were also mixed groups from the public schools, and even some from Harmony University, all mingled in the shared space. The room buzzed with a blend of excitement and anticipation as we awaited whatever waited for us. "Have you ever seen everyone here before?" I asked Lily in private thought speak. "No, this can't be good," Lily replied in thought speak. I saw Andrew scurry past us, and I was able to catch him before he could disappear into the crowd. "What's going on?" I asked. Andrew looked at me, and then kind of broke down. He didn't seem like himself, to be honest. "I don't know," he said, then his eyes got wide. "All I know is that I am stuck in this kid's body. I was just supposed to be here for the final evaluation and now I'm stuck in this kid's body, and he is trying to reassure me that everything is going to be alright, but I just know I made a huge mistake. I don't want to be stuck as a boy." "Wait? Stuck?" Courtney asked, now watching a fidgeting Andrew. "Yeah, something happened to the device that put me in here, and now I'm stuck in here." Courtney looked at me, worry was in her eyes. "If that's true, then we are all stuck in our kids' bodies," she said to me. "Wait, so you all are tutors too?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "we are all tutors too, and if you're stuck as a little boy, then that means I am stuck as a little girl." Andrew's eyes went wide and then he scurried out of view. I looked over at Courtney and the other girls from St. Mary's. They had all been watching my interaction with Andrew too. "Andrew's tutor in training is in panic mode," Zoe said. "It's rare, but whenever a tutor panics too much, they can overpower their host trying to talk to them. Essentially, Andrew is pushed further into his own mind." "Anyway, we can help him?" Jessica asked. "No," Zoe said. "Andrew's tutor will have to calm down themselves before Andrew can resurface and help her again." The atmosphere in the waiting room became more charged as students continued to pour in. I glanced at the other girls from St. Mary's, their expressions mirrored the mix of confusion and concern that I felt. The realization that we were all stuck in the bodies of the children we were tutoring created a shared sense of vulnerability among us. Lily's voice echoed in my mind, breaking the uneasy silence. "We need to figure out what happened and if there's a way to reverse it. If Andrew's stuck, it's possible the rest of us are too." "I agree," I said in thought speak. Before I could relay the message to the other girls, a loud yell echoed around the room. We all looked over to the center of the room where Professor Quinn stood holding her hand in the air. "Quiet in here," she said. "I will have quiet in here." The room fell silent as Professor Quinn's authoritative voice resonated through the waiting area. She stepped forward, her stern gaze scanning the students before her. The weight of her presence demanded attention, and gradually, the buzzing chatter diminished. "Listen up!" she yelled, even though at this point she could have whispered, and we would have all been focused on her. "This morning, after a transfer, all of our computer systems at the site in the site near Harmony University has gone down." Professor Quinn's words hung in the air, causing a ripple of unease to sweep through the room. I exchanged glances with Courtney, Jessica, and the other girls from St. Mary's. The realization that something unusual had occurred extended beyond our individual experiences. "We are working to resolve the issue," Professor Quinn continued, her voice firm. "However, until then, we have a situation on our hands. The tutors that are currently in their kids' heads are temporarily unable to access their original bodies. We are still assessing the cause of this anomaly." A hushed murmur spread among the students, a collective uncertainty lingering in the air. Professor Quinn's gaze rested on all of us. "Rest assured, we are doing everything we can to rectify the situation. In the meantime, tutors, try to maintain composure and assist your kids as best as you can." With those words, Professor Quinn walked away, her determined strides leaving an imprint of authority. The room remained in a tense hush, the weight of the situation sinking in. "Oh no!" Lily whispered in my head. The gravity of the situation hung heavily in the air. Lily's whispered concern echoed the thoughts that were racing through my mind, the realization that all the tutors were temporarily trapped in the bodies of the children they were meant to guide added an extra layer of complexity to an already perplexing scenario. The room was a sea of worried faces, each student grappling with the uncertainty of their situation. As the initial shock settled, a sense of urgency and unease lingered among us. I looked at Courtney, Jessica, and the other girls from St. Mary's. There was a silent agreement that we needed to find a way to reverse the situation, not just for ourselves but for everyone affected. We exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between us. The urgency of the situation was palpable, and it was clear that we needed to act swiftly. As the murmurs continued around us, Zoe took charge. Samantha was still in her arms. "Okay, ladies," she said to all of us. "I know this is bad, but we need to reassure our kids that we are not going to be stuck like this. As soon as Professor Quinn figures out how to get us back, we will get back here. Until then, we just need to proceed like business as usual." "Agreed," Courtney said, "no need to go into panic mode just yet." With Zoe's guidance, we composed ourselves and joined the collective effort to maintain a semblance of normalcy. It wasn't easy, knowing the peculiar situation we found ourselves in, but we were determined to carry on and support our young charges. The waiting room began to buzz again with a mixture of conversations. Some students engaged in quiet discussions about the unprecedented events, while others exchanged worried glances. Then the thought came to me, could I have been in my body for the final time yesterday? We were hurried out of the waiting room and taken by van back to our schools. The others remained quiet, but I could see some of them quietly nodding, no doubt that they were talking to their kids inside of their heads. "How are you doing?" I asked Lily in thought speak. I could feel her shrug a little in my mind, but she didn't say anything. I didn't blame her. I had given her a great opportunity to take over my body over the weekend, and now that was in jeopardy. She was now stuck in her own head. My thoughts turned from yesterday when Lily controlled me, and how scared I was. Was Lily feeling the same way? "At least Mindy will be okay for now," Lily finally thought spoke to me. Her words sounded depressed. The atmosphere was heavy as we rode back to St. Mary's School for Girls. The reality of our predicament sank in, and each of us was left to grapple with our own thoughts and emotions. The uncertainty about the future weighed on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped. Upon returning to the school, the routine continued as if nothing had changed. It was dinner time at the school, and we were escorted to the cafeteria where we all sat at the tables, including Zoe, who was supposed to be in the high school cafeteria on the other side of campus. Samantha stayed with us as well, even though she was supposed to also be in the kindergartner's dorm room eating with the other little kids. We didn't care how it would look with all of us together, we just wanted to remain together. We looked out of place in the cafeteria. All the other girls at St. Mary's had already changed out of their uniforms and into normal clothes. We were the only ones still dressed in our uniforms. I barely ate the school pizza in front of me before declaring that I wasn't hungry. I took my tray of food and deposited it into the trash bin and walked away back to the dorm room. I shut the door and headed to Lily's desk. I was still too awake to go to sleep, and I was in too much of a mood to do nothing, so I pulled out Lily's homework and began to do it. I tried to ask Lily the questions on the homework sheet, but she refused to answer. I didn't push her, instead I just did the homework by myself. I knew the answers anyways. As I worked on Lily's homework, the room remained in quiet stillness. The weight of the situation pressed down on me, and the rhythmic scratching of the pencil on paper was the only sound that permeated the air. I couldn't shake the feeling of being in a dream, a surreal reality that I couldn't quite grasp. Lily's refusal to engage in our usual banter or assist with the homework reflected the somber atmosphere that had settled around us. The camaraderie we once shared, the seamless integration of our thoughts and actions, felt disrupted by the unforeseen circumstances that now bound us in this unfamiliar dance of roles. As I completed the homework, my mind wandered to the events of the day. The waiting room, Professor Quinn's announcement, and the shared realization that all the tutors were trapped in the bodies of their young charges created a tapestry of uncertainty. I glanced at a photo of Lily that sat on the desk. It was her with Courtney playing in the woods somewhere. I felt an odd sense of responsibility for her well-being. "We'll figure this out, Lily," I thought spoke to her. The lack of response deepened the solitude that hung in the room. After finishing the homework, I placed the papers neatly on Lily's desk and sighed. The room was dimly lit, the soft glow of the desk lamp casting shadows on the walls. Sleep eluded me, and the stillness of the night amplified the weight of the unknown. The dorm room door creaked open, and I looked up to see Courtney entering. Her eyes met mine, and we shared a silent understanding. We were all navigating uncharted territory, and the need for support and unity was paramount. Courtney took a seat on her bed, and we exchanged a glance that spoke volumes. The bond between us, forged through shared experiences and challenges, seemed to strengthen in the face of adversity.